thank you so much for taking the time out of your evening to be here. You know, I know that evenings are prime time to have to spend time with your family, and so I do appreciate you investing in yourself, investing in your business. So if you are newer to the team and you don't know who I am, my name is Megan Eggleston, and I'm not going to be talking at you tonight, but I'm going to introduce our guest speaker. But I'm the leader of Team Phoenix. We've been around for about 2.5 years, and I started this team, you know, 2.5 years ago, and we just crossed the 1,000 coach mark on, was it Friday? We did a little promotion. Whoever signed the 1,000th coach was going to get a nice, you know, little gift. But wow, 1,000 people on this team is pretty incredible, and I'm just really proud of it. I'm really proud of you guys, and just so humbled and blessed to have there's amazing people in my life, and just to inspire me and make me better every day. So let's go ahead and get into the call. First, I have a couple of announcements before I introduce Sheila. Number one is we're about halfway through the month, and it's Fall Classic. So if you haven't hit your Success Club, know that this is the month you actually get a gift for doing what you would be doing anyway. The goal that you set for yourself every month. So there's prizes. So just remember that this is Fall Classic time, and you've probably signed up for a team. If you're on this call, you've invested in your business, so I'm sure you're on a team. And you know, don't let your team down. Use that that accountability, that as a push to hit your goals this month. Also, I'm sure some of you have seen my pictures and some of your teammates' pictures over the weekend of the Platinum Edge conference that's in Dallas. I really want to encourage you guys to pre-register for that conference next year. It's in September instead of November. Even if you're just kind of sort of kicking the tires of this coaching thing right now, there's no harm in pre-registering. It was the first event that I attended, the first live event that I attended that really launched me. These live events they're what inspire you. That's where most people have their like aha moment. So getting to these live events is, you can't beat it for what it does for your motivation. So the platinumedge.com is the link to pre-register for that. It's different from Summit in that it is more intimate, but I feel like the training is more appropriate for you as an entrepreneur. So Beachbody does awesome training at Summit. So, I mean, it's a no-brainer, you gotta go to Summit. But it's more corporate training, as it should be. It's the corporate, you know, office putting on a corporate event to teach you how to sell more Beachbody. But the Platinum Edge really grows you as an entrepreneur and as a brand. And I think as a result, you are a better coach, and you're a better entrepreneur. So I've had several messages from the girls that went that said, Megan, thank you so much for telling me about this. Thank you so much for encouraging me to do this. Now I know what you mean. And so get on that pre-registration. And those of you who are new and maybe haven't heard about Beachbody's Coach Summit, get on that wait list right now. It's sold out, but it never actually is sold out. People cancel. So just get on that wait list, even if you think I'll never be able to go to Nashville in July. You just don't know. You really don't. There's no harm in getting on the wait list. Coach Summit 2016. So please pre-register for those, even if you don't know that it's actually going to happen for you. Just give yourself that opportunity. Give yourself that option. Okay, I'm done talking. I'm going to just tell you a little bit about Sheila Kennedy. Before I tell you like all that, you know, her accolades, all the amazing things she's done, let me tell you how I know her and like what she did for me, and how, you know, how I came to have a relationship with Sheila. Right about last year, close to this time, for the end of the year, I was shooting for this big goal of elite. Our team is an elite team. It was a huge goal of mine. I pushed hard. I worked my butt off. I was really proud of that accomplishment. But I got into the new year, and I was having real struggles with confidence. Even though I had accomplished a big goal, I got really nervous that it was kind of a fluke, that who ever trusted me with this large team, with this kind of success. I started to like have all this self-doubt creep in, and I wasn't sure if I was cut out to be a leader. I was on paper a leader because I had a big team and I had accomplished these like ranks, but I started to really struggle. I had a really bad, January was one of my worst months in the business. This entire year of January was a rough month for me. I just really lost any kind of confidence I had. And the confidence that I did have was just growing, like, you know, incrementally. And I realized that on my own, I had kind of run out of tools to grow further, and I knew that I needed some help. And I mean, it just kind of happened that I ran into Sheila at some networking event and saw that she had these books on, that she'd written a book called, was it Confidence at the Core? I'll read it here. You had it all along, something like that. So I ended up like, I saw her, I was like, oh my gosh, like this is what I need right now. And got her book, I bought her book, and connected with her on the phone somehow. I don't know how it all happened, but I hired Sheila. I realized that I was gonna hit a ceiling in my business if I didn't grow, if I didn't figure out how to have the confidence to be a leader and to help you guys achieve your goals. I really doubted myself. So I hired Sheila. I knew that it was worth the investment to invest in myself and meet with her on a weekly basis. And she really helped me through some self-limiting beliefs. And I hope that she can share a bit of that with you guys on this call. Let me just give you her little, her bio a little bit. I mean, this is a short bio. She's, you know, accomplished a lot, but let me just give you a little insight into who she is. Sheila Kennedy is the confidence coach and lead by example girl. As she learns, she shares. Building confidence began as a last-ditch effort for survival, then became her life's calling. From insecure, divorced, single mom, struggling to make a living, to best-selling author, speaker, and coach, Sheila shares how to build the confidence you need to build the life, business, or platform you desire. An entrepreneur since 2008, Sheila learned that one's level of confidence directly impacts the success of their marketing, visibility, connecting, and making money. Sheila now spends her time helping entrepreneurs build confidence in the areas they lack so they can experience growth and success. Sheila chronicled her lessons in her best-selling book, You Had It All Along. This blueprint for building confidence at your core inspires people all over the globe. Her new book, Choices to Changes, The Confidence Coach Shares the Practices of Confident Entrepreneurs, is due to be released in November 2015. So how excited are you to hear from Sheila? I am really excited to hear from her tonight. So with that, I'm going to zip it and then turn the camera on Sheila and let her take it away. Thanks, Sheila.
Awesome. Thank you, Megan. That was really sweet. I didn't expect that. It has been an absolute pleasure to get to know you. And, you know, I can't even begin to tell you how lucky y'all are to have Megan in your life, because you couldn't ask for a better leader. So, you know, I really appreciate you asking me to be here today, Megan. I was asked to talk tonight about confident vulnerability. And I think that I need to start with the idea that that's the only way I know how to do it at this point in the game. I have been an entrepreneur for a while, since 2008. And when I first started as an entrepreneur, I was very much in the entrepreneurial fishbowl and thought everybody was looking at me and I needed to make everything look perfect, because if it didn't look perfect, then they might not do business with me. And you know, I obviously wanted to build my business, so I made sure that everything looked good all the time. And I imagine that as coaches in the industry that you're in, there's an awful lot of pressure to look perfect all the time. And I am here to tell you that that is a fallacy, that is not true. I think with absolute certainty that the more real you are, the more attractive you are to your ideal client. And I say that because I had to hit bottom. As I led my seemingly perfect life, I went on and, you know, I was struggling. I wasn't building my business because I was using all of my energy trying to pretend that I was something that I wasn't. And it wasn't getting me anywhere. So I figured out well, it took me a while. It took me a couple of years anyway to figure out that I couldn't build this business that I wanted until I got real. Until I got really honest about that I had a mess in my personal life and that I wasn't perfect and that I had things that were not okay. And that was going to turn some people off, but that was also going to attract an awful lot more people. than I ever expected, actually. And it was that honesty and that authenticity and the ability to be vulnerable that has attracted the people that I have now in my life, people like Megan. So having said that, I think we have to define a couple of things about confidence and what vulnerability is and how that all plays into your business in order for you to move forward. Because y'all are here because you want to perform better, that you want to learn how to build this business that you're sitting in, and some of you may be still shaking your heads going, how did I get to this place? And some of you are being very strategic about how you're moving forward. And so I want to talk about some of the misconceptions about confidence and vulnerability so that you have a better idea of how you can move forward. How's that sound? If you have questions, please be typing into the chat box. I will watch that as we go through. I definitely would love for this to be interactive in some way if we can do that. But first thing I would like to explain to you is that a lot of people are, I turn a lot of people off because they hear confidence and they immediately get defensive. They want to, oh, well, I'm super confident. I wouldn't need anybody like you. Well, that's awesome. I'm really glad. But I think what they're misunderstanding is that there's a difference between confidence and self-esteem. And confidence actually comes from a Latin word called confidere, and that means to trust. And when I read that, what that really means is that we're trusting, that you are trusting that you are going to be supported. In every moment of your life, in every circumstance, you are going to be supported. So it's a trust thing. It's not a belief necessarily. And I know that it's true. I know that you're supported in everything that you do, and I know that because we're here tonight. If you hadn't been supported up until this moment, then we wouldn't be here. Now, self-esteem is different because if confidence is trusting that you will be supported, self-esteem is believing that you are worthy of the support. So they are not the same thing and they are not mutually exclusive. But I think I also want you to understand there's a lot of negative judgment about being confident. Oh, I don't feel confident in this. I don't feel confident in cold calling. I don't feel confident in telling people about my business. I don't feel confident talking about that I belong to an MLM, or whatever the fear, the misconception is, the thing that's holding you back, whatever that is. You don't have confidence in that thing, but there's other things that you do have confidence in. Like maybe driving, or maybe being a parent, or being a coach, or something. You might not have the marketing down, but you definitely have the workout and the physique, or you have the coaching style, or whatever. And maybe you have the marketing down and not the coaching style. There's lots of different ways for that to show up in your business. So confidence, we like to paint a broad stroke of confidence over everything, and that we need to have it in everything, and we'll feel it, and we'll never have it lost again. Well, that's not true either. Sometimes our measure of confidence isn't really the absence or the presence of fear or doubt. It really is how long we let them stay. Every time you do something new, you're going to have that inkling of, and hopefully it is just, something really small, of fear or doubt going, ooh, should I be doing this? Should I say that to that person? Should I, confront them? Should I, ask about them? Should I invite them to this event? There's all of those things. Every time you put yourself into a new situation, you are going to have that little bit of fear or doubt show up. Your goal is to have it only be there for a few minutes. Let it be momentary and not legendary. We don't want people to think of you as, oh, this is Sally who was constantly afraid to talk to people. We don't want that. And, Megan had mentioned that I wrote a new book, and it's coming out actually December 18th. I'm really excited about it, but I actually talked about how to be a confident entrepreneur. And I didn't want you to just take my word for it. I asked 12 global entrepreneurs from around the world to give me their best practices. You know, I chose them because they had some of the things that I wanted to demonstrate or I wanted to, you know, make example of. But they also had some individual practices that I share in the book. But every single one of them, across the board, experienced fear and doubt in their careers. They weren't, you know, exempt from that. But they opened up their tool chest, they saw the fear for what it is, and they opened that up, and they did, they moved through it. They didn't let it stop them, because entrepreneurs, confident entrepreneurs, and those that are willing to be vulnerable are risk takers. Whoa, yeah. So if you're not comfortable with risk, there's a couple of reasons why you might not be, but you know what? I know that you have a little bit of that at least, because you're here at the level that you are, and you're working with Megan, and you're doing great things, and you're having a team or leading a team or a part of a team. So you're in a leadership position. So there is at least a little bit of risk taking in your blood. And so I am hoping that we get really comfortable tonight making decisions and taking risks. And of course, it's not going to happen in 30 minutes. That would be wicked awesome if that could happen. But I'm going to give you some of the guidelines to get through so that you can become more of a risk taker, so that whatever it is that's holding you back doesn't have to hold you back anymore. Does anybody have any questions? If you want to type in real quick, I'd be happy to answer. Okay. So what I'm going to ask you right now is, y'all are beach body coaches. You have a unique relationship with your body. And so your body is going to react to stress, to fear, to doubt in certain ways. And I'm wondering if you have ever paid attention to that. Most of the time when we feel fear, it's actually that mental construct. It's that stuff that we tell ourselves that causes us to be afraid of something. Fear is different than danger, and I want to explain that. Danger is like when 5 people are coming at you with baseball bats and want to hurt you. That's danger. This is different. This is, you know, those negative voices saying you can't do this, and you're afraid to go approach somebody, or you don't want to be visible. You know, for the longest time in my business, I didn't want anybody to see me. Doing a webinar like this and being on camera I wouldn't have done it because I didn't want anybody to see me. So visibility was definitely impacted by my lack of confidence in wanting to be visible. So I thank you. Awesome. I appreciate the comments that you put in. So it scares us so that we don't move forward. So I want to talk for a few minutes about what fear feels like in your body, what your body's reaction to it is, and what the outcome is. And then you get to decide if you want to stay in fear, or if you want it to define you, or if you want to move past it. So we start out, your body's going to feel, I don't know, tense. Maybe your heart's going to beat faster. Maybe you're going to get sick to your stomach. You're going to start sweating. You can't make eye contact with people. You look down at the ground instead of up at somebody, you know, whoever's in your audience, whoever you're trying to attract. So however that feels like, I'd like you to just take a minute to think about the last time when you kind of had that hiccup before moving forward with something because of a little bit of fear. What did that feel like in your body? I want you to just take a minute, just get quiet. What does fear feel like in your body? Okay, so now that you have that idea, what I want you, I'm actually going to take that out. What I want you to do, can you still hear me, Megan? Yeah, okay. So what I want you to understand is that your body's reaction to fear is the same as your body's reaction to danger. It can't tell the difference. Now, if you experience an adrenaline rush, adrenaline gets excreted, I think that's the right word, in your body to help you have that boost of energy to free you from danger. So it gives you the opportunity to run like hell out of someplace or to lift the refrigerator off your body or something like that. Okay, yes. Unsure of what you say. Yes, your whole body feels wiggly. Yep, and you feel like that tremble in your stomach. Absolutely. Okay, so that adrenaline rush is very helpful when you're in a dangerous situation. It is not helpful for extended periods of time. And what happens when we experience fear for a long time, when we stop doing things, when we get nervous about everything, and we're in that extended period of fear, our bodies are still releasing those same kind of hormones, and they wreak havoc on your body after a long time. So it's in your best interest to figure out where you are in the kind of the path from fear into confidence, because you don't want to stay in fear for very long, because it's really going to wear down your body. And as a coach, as somebody who's got people looking at them, to be representative of healthy living, that could be a problem for you, because you are going to impact your health greatly the longer you stay in fear. Okay. You feel sweaty in all the wrong places. I love it. I mean, I don't love it for you, but I appreciate the example. So let's talk about that path from fear into confidence, because I think it's important for you to be able to identify where you are so that you can combat it, so that you can defy it and get past it. So we start out in fear. So you're in fear because you're feeling that feeling in your body, all those things that you've all talked about, right? Okay. So you know that that's where you are. Well, now we need to kind of define it. And Brene Brown was awesome at this, because she said that you can't get into courage without traveling through vulnerability. So the next phase after you feel the fear is identify it. And vulnerability means that you're exposing yourself to the judgment of others. Really, I don't know how much easier to make that sound. And sometimes you're going to care about the judgment, and sometimes you're not. So there are going to be times when you really don't want to be ridiculed or don't want to be put down or questioned. But then there's going to be times when you're going to be like, yes, let's do this, because the thing that you want to share with people, or the thing that is beyond the fear, is way more important than any of the discomfort you could feel in it. I hope that makes sense. I'm not sure. I said it a little differently than I usually do. But anyway, so we get into vulnerability. We get to define what it is that we're afraid of. It's really important. And what that means is that this thing, if I share it with you, maybe it's being out in, compression shorts and a tank top, or maybe, it's wearing spandex for the first time, or maybe it's actually dancing in front of people, or, whatever it is, defining that's the next step. So we have to define our fear. Well, now that we know what it is, then we get to defy it. We get to walk into courage, because courage tells us, okay, fear, I see you. I'm glad you're here, but I'm not going to let you define where I'm going. I'm not going to let you do that. So you get to defy it. So you go from fear into vulnerability, into courage. So that's you fear, you define, you defy, and then you do it. You do whatever the thing is that makes you afraid. I'll give you an example. I hate having my picture taken. It's just not a comfortable thing for me. And I was approached today by a photographer who said, I'm putting together this Faces of Beauty. I don't know what it is. Anyway, and I really want you to be part of it. I want to take your picture. And I'll give you these pictures, whatever, but will you be a part of it? Now, Sheila, a year ago, Sheila probably 6 months ago would have been like, nope, sorry, can't help you. But I said yes. So I saw my fear of being visible. I defined why it is that I didn't want to be visible. And then I got really smart or courageous about it and said, okay, is that really what I want to define me? I asked myself some questions. Is this real? Whenever fear shows up, is this real? Is it true? Does it serve me well? And do I want it to define me? And if I can answer all of those questions, by the time I'm done, usually I'm like, this is ridiculous. I need to move forward. And I do the thing that I may have been afraid of before. And then I step out into confidence, because once we do it and we enjoy, we see the consequences, we see that we survive them, we see that we were actually supported all the way through it, then we become confident. I hope that makes sense. Does anybody have any questions about that? So identifying where you are on that path from fear, do you need to define it? Do you need to defy it? Do you need to do it? And then enjoying the level of confidence that you get after going through all of that. That's what is going to help you in those times when you're like, oh, am I doing the right thing? That, who am I to be doing this? I probably need to lose 25 pounds. How dare I get up and try and tell people about being healthy and being fit? That's what we call imposter syndrome. Yeah, it has its own name. How cool is that, right? And you know what? That's what vulnerability is all about. Imposter syndrome tells us that we are not good enough, or we're not whatever enough to do the thing that we want to do. Be of service in the way we want to be of service. Sell the product that we want to sell, whatever it is. Imposter syndrome tells us that we can't do that. And there's a way to combat that. And it's kind of like that path we just talked about. What I would like you to do, and Sarah Newton, she was my youth coach. I was a youth coach for a long time, and she was my coach, and she shared this. She's actually in my new book, and she shared this as part of her spotlight. One of the ways to reduce imposter syndrome is to make a list of 5 reasons why you are exactly the perfect person to do what you're doing. Because there's reasons. If you can't come up with 5, well, then maybe you aren't doing the right thing, and maybe this isn't a good fit. But I'm pretty positive that you can come up with 5 things. And then that's what I want you to focus on. That's what's important. That's who you are. Not you probably have 25 reasons why you would be great at this. You might have 2 reasons why you would suck at it. And guess what? All we fixate on are the 2 reasons why we wouldn't be good at it. We forget about the 25 other things. And so by doing this exercise, I really am hoping that you will fixate on the 5 great things, the 5 reasons why you are in exactly the right place, doing exactly the right thing, and not fixating on those 2 or 3 things that might be, oh, well, maybe I shouldn't do that because I do have 10 pounds still to lose. How's everybody doing with that? Making sense? We good? All right, awesome. If you have any questions, please type in. I'd be happy to answer anything that you've got going on. I have about 5 more minutes, so I just want to, keep a pulse on if there's something specific that you need, please let me know, okay? Vulnerability is hard. It's hard to open yourself up. And how do you be confident in that? Well, I want you to remember that confidence is trusting that you'll be supported. You also need to trust that you will be stronger than the weaknesses that you share. You are stronger than the weaknesses that you will share. So whatever they could pick you apart for, you're stronger than that. That doesn't have to define you. You're more than that. And so if you remember that, I think you're going to be so much further ahead, right? You feel like I've been in your head. I hear that a lot, actually. That's funny. Thank you, Lindsay. Here's the thing. It's hard to be vulnerable. It's hard to open yourself up, but that's your point of connection. You know, if you're worried about being a multi-level marketer, forget about that. Connect with people. The only way you're going to connect with people and build relationships with them is if you are willing to be vulnerable. They don't want you to expose their weaknesses and their vulnerabilities unless you're willing to expose some of your own. And if you're not willing to do that, if that's too great a risk for you, then you're not in the right place. You're not in the right place. And because consumers today are demanding that we connect with them as people, not just as dollar signs. So if you're worried about the MLM, stigma, stop thinking about that. Stop fixating on that. Fixate on why you are perfect or why you are ideal. I hate the word perfect. Why you are ideal to do what you're doing, and connect with them on that level. Because you know what? The truth is, there are going to be some people that are not going to appreciate your vulnerability. They're not going to appreciate your story. They're not going to appreciate your weaknesses. They're going to say things about it. They're going to be judgmental, whatever. But the majority of the people that you're meant to work with, are going to stick to you like glue. The more vulnerable you are, the more loyal your following will be, because you understand the changes that they're undergoing, and change is hard for people. They want to know that they've got a partner in this. And if you're willing to do that and show them that, you are going to create a loyal client base. So even though it seems counterintuitive to tell people that you don't have it all together, or that you have had this experience or that experience that actually connects you to them, that's exactly what needs to happen in order for you to be more and more successful. Okay, so thanks, Megan. I appreciate you for typing that in. Does anybody have, any other questions besides the title of the book? This is something near and dear to my heart. I could talk for hours and hours on this, so it's hard for me to know what else you need to know. Absolutely, you can reserve your copy. There is a link there. I am working on it. I also have a free chapter that I'd be happy to share with you. If you're local to Rochester, also, I have, we're going to have a launch party here. Megan, I'm so sorry. I'm so sad that you're not going to be around. But on December 18th, and actually, if you pre-buy the book, you get a ticket to the launch party. So it's only for a special group, but we're going to have a Zoom session, not unlike this, with all of the confident entrepreneurs that are in the book. So you're going to be hearing from people like Forbes Riley and Jeff Hoffman of Priceline.com, Vicki Winterton, Sarah Newton, Joey Garrity. There's all kinds of great people. And our local people here in Rochester are Cheryl Latre and David Day. So they'll be on with us. And so you'll get to get a sneak peek. You'll get to hear them and see them and talk with them for a few minutes on the Zoom session. So I'd love for you to be able to be a part of that. But I also am really, I'm so excited about the content because it tells you all of these things that we're talking about tonight, and it shares all of the ways that all of these people have done, these entrepreneurs have done amazing things. But I don't want you to have to wait. I don't want you to start practicing confidently after you've read the book. So for the next month, I have some webinars that I wanted to share, recordings that I'm going to share with you that will help you along the way, so that kind of as a gift, so that you can get started like today. Because I don't want you to have to wait, because it's so important, because whatever you're doing, this world needs it. You have a gift that you are in the position to share with everybody. And I don't want you to, for 1 second, to be afraid. I don't want you to be held back. I don't want you to not take the risk. It's worth all of it. It's worth all of it. And you deserve to have the freedom that entrepreneurship provides you. You deserve to have the fulfillment of why you got in this. And there are people that need your help. So, really start getting clear about your fear and getting clear about how you can move through that. And if you have any questions at all, please contact me. You can email me at sheila@confidenceatyourcore.com. My website is www.confidenceatyourcore.com. So you go visit me there. And I'm going to check and see if there's any questions. You're taking notes like crazy. That's awesome, Stacy. Thank you.
I know that
Awesome.
I know that I struggled with imposter syndrome, and was a lot of what Sheila and I talked about. Like I remember just feeling like, are you sure that I was intended to be a leader? I always considered myself to be a wallflower, meek, timid, mild follower, people pleaser, didn't rock the boat. And so I got to a point where I felt like, who do I think I am? And I would tell Sheila all my flaws. Like, this is why I can't do this. This is why I shouldn't be doing, or this is the self-doubt. This is the self-speak that I would have. Like, I'm disorganized. I'm, all these things. And she just helped me, just like you said, all the reasons I am good at this, all the reasons I belong here, all the reasons I need to own this. And now I just don't even listen to those voices anymore. But they can be, those little one or two things can just be so loud when there's, like just like one or two things, they can just be so loud and crowd out all the amazing reasons. So I hope you guys all do take the moment to like workshop this, write out all the reasons that this is good for you, all the reasons that you are amazing at it, at being a coach, as being a leader, at sharing with people what you have to offer.
Megan, I love that share. Thank you. I really appreciate that. And one thing that just a parting note, your body also is protecting you. When you hear negative voices, when you are fixating on the negative, okay, it's your body's way of keeping you small. Your body's job is to keep you safe. Just like when you get that adrenaline rush to run away from the people trying to kill you, your body wants to keep you safe. It likes your comfort zone. And so what happens is that shows up in our negative voices. That shows up in the negativity, in the imposter syndrome and everything. That's just your body's way, your brain's way of saying, stay small, stay comfortable, stay safe. Mm-hmm. And so one of the things that you can do is to actually have that conversation with your body. Whether you want to name it, you want to call it your brain, you want to whatever. But just say, you know what? I am so grateful that you want to keep me safe. And thank you for showing up. And, I appreciate that, but I'm okay. I'm going to go ahead and do this thing, whatever it is that you might be afraid of. And after a while, your body gets conditioned. It expands the comfort zone. It allows you the expansion time. Excuse me. So the next time that you start doubting yourself, remember that that's your body's way of keeping you small. You get to decide. Ask those 4 questions. Is it real? Is it true? Does this define me? And does this serve me well? And if it doesn't, then you can say, thank you for showing up. Thank you for wanting to keep me safe, but I'm going to move on. So that's just, another little tool that you can use to kind of help propel you forward.
I love that.
Thanks. Awesome. Well, I love that you're taking questions. Awesome.
Any questions, guys? Feel free. Sheila I'm sure she would love to answer questions. I mean, if you have specific things you're struggling with.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's a delay. There's about a 60-second delay in what we say actually reaching I hear. That's what I understand. So it might take a
Right.
second for someone to type in. So we'll just give it a minute.
Yeah. And it seems like, 6 hours to us, but it's really only 30 seconds.
Yeah.
What's a
Exactly.
polite way to kick rocks? Well, it depends on the framework in which that you're trying to say it. Um, if you're saying it to a potential client, there is nothing more empowering than firing a client. I got to say that. And I don't recommend that unless it's because you don't need anything in your life that is going to be toxic. And the ability, you're not saying no to the client, you're saying yes to you. And it's all about that reframing. Okay. So if you are not comfortable saying, no, I don't want to work with you, say yes to doing what serves you best. And that's okay. So it depends on, again, the situation, how you say that. And a lot of times, well, I won't say a lot of times, I've only done it a few times, but I'll say, you know what, I really care about your well-being and I'm not the best thing for you right now. And sometimes they want an explanation for that, and sometimes they get it. Usually they're not surprised. So if if you're feeling like this is not the right thing for you, then just, you know what, I have loved, our time together, but I think that there's somebody else that could serve you better. And actually make the referral maybe, or just say, I'm not it. You and I aren't going to work. So that's probably the most diplomatic way to say it.
Heather asks, I am a people pleaser as well. How do you get past that and not come off as rude?
Okay. Well, I think a lot of times it depends on why you're people pleasing. There's a lot more to it than a 5-second answer to this, unfortunately. But I think that you get to check in and see if this serves you well too. It's great to want to serve other people's needs. But if it is going to deplete you, if it is going to put you in a place where you can't serve because you're too worn out, you're too tired, you're under too much stress, then again, you're not saying no to that person or that request, you're saying yes to you. So when we say no, then that sometimes feels too negative and we won't do it. So we'll just always say yes. I want you to keep saying yes, but I want you to say yes to you. And make sure that you are really aligned. We can get into a whole nother class about, boundary setting. The down and dirty on that is that whenever you're going to set a boundary, you have to be really clear about why you're setting it. Because if you don't have a clear reason, then it's not going to feel authentic as you're delivering that boundary to somebody else, and they won't receive it the way you want them to. So it's very important for you to get really clear about why you want to set the boundary that you set, and usually expect pushback when that happens, because people are used to treating you like a doormat, and why would they think that that's going to change? So, so using I statements, people can't refute the way you feel, but if you start any sentence with you, automatically that puts them on the defensive. So that might help as well. Okay. Let's see. I hope that helps, Heather. If it doesn't, let me know. Any tips on dealing with family and friends who you feel judge you for being vulnerable? Oh, yeah. Nobody that loves you wants to see you expose yourself to anything that they deem unnecessary or hurtful. And they're trying in their own weird way to keep you safe and to keep you protected. So remind yourself of that usually it's not a vindictive and venomous situation. It's usually that they really have your best interest at heart. They may not understand that that's how you connect with people. So in explaining that to them, my mother is notorious for that. She is, she is horribly embarrassed by the fact that I tell people that I was in an abusive marriage. And, you know, why can't you just move past that? Why do you have to keep bringing it up? Why do you have to tell people that? You know, so I get that all the time. And so I understand that. And sometimes we just have to love them where they are. You just have to love people where they are. And that doesn't always feel good, and that is sometimes really, really hard to do. But I find that if I just accept where she is, that she doesn't understand, she's never had to build a business. She's never had to connect with people. She's never had, you know, she's a teacher. So what she did is she ran a classroom. So what she said was the way it was. What she taught was the way it was. Nobody questioned her. Nobody did any, you know, she didn't have to, they didn't have to like her. So she didn't understand that. So I think sometimes education and sharing with them what I, you know, kind of what I've just shared with you, and then just kind of accepting them where they are, and limiting the conversations so that if the conversation starts to get venomous or negative or toxic, then you set that boundary and say, you know what? I absolutely adore you, and we are going to agree to disagree. We're not, this is off limits because we're not going to see eye to eye on this, and I'm not going to change my behavior.
I think also some people are, is that echoing to you guys or just me?
It's me.
I hear an echo.
I don't hear an echo.
Well, I'll take out this earphone so I don't hear it. I think sometimes the people who we feel are not comfortable with it is because they see their own insecurities, and it makes them uncomfortable to see you so confident and comfortable sharing. I think that often happens is they feel it highlights their own insecurities in themselves to see you being able to embrace your vulnerability, weaknesses, whatever. And it's not conscious envy, but I think that makes them uncomfortable that they're not at a place that they can open up and have that freedom. Because once you do allow yourself that vulnerability, and I learned this the hard way, it's liberating and it feels so peaceful when you don't have to live false or hide or protect it. It takes a burden to just be like, I'm letting it all hang out. This is who I am. There's nothing to hide anymore. And it's freeing, it's liberating. And I think that's sometimes hard for, you know, those closest to you to see you kind of like grow out of that. And when they still harbor their own insecurities and weaknesses, they would never expose. I don't know. That's my take.
That's absolutely true. It's absolutely true. There was one more question about having a hard time knowing when people are taking advantage of you. They're only taking advantage of you if you feel that way. So you might be a giver. You might be that person that wants to just give and give and give, and that's okay. I'm going to lose this. I need to, hang on.
Oh, your computer's about to die.
I thought I plugged it in, but I guess I didn't. Anyway, you can give as much as you want, but if it starts not feeling like a balanced relationship, that's when it's a problem. It's not a problem until then. So if you're comfortable with the way it feels and you're comfortable with the balance, then there's no problem. If you're not, then you have to look at, well, what would make it feel more balanced? What could I do to help this situation? And what do I need the other person to do? And again, setting boundaries, you know, it's a tough thing. It's a really tough thing. And I think that you have to be really clear about why you want to do that. You know, it needs to be important, because if it's not, what happens is that it doesn't feel authentic. It's not received very well, and that's what we want to avoid. So, you know, but if you're okay with it, then there's no problem. Okay? I hope that answers. Makes sense?
Any other questions, guys? We'll give it a minute and then we'll close up unless anybody has something to ask Sheila. You can find Sheila. Follow Sheila's. Follow Sheila. What's your page?
My Facebook page?
Yes.
My business page is Sheila Kennedy, the confidence coach, speaker and author, I think.
Okay.
It's my author page.
I can,
So, yeah.
I'll post in our event page how to contact, or, your website and all that good stuff. I'll put that in our event page so they all can find you.
Awesome. Thank you.
And she's in Rochester, people. I have a good big team in Rochester, so.
Yeah, I'd love to come see you. Yeah, and if you want to, join in the fun for the launch party and can come join us, I would love to have you. I'm really excited about that. And well, you are certainly welcome. Thank you all for sitting here. I just want to applaud you. You're doing great things in the world. And, the fact that you're here tonight and that you are trying to learn or trying to, build community, that is so important and that is so valuable. And there's not everybody is doing that. So you set yourselves apart from the majority of entrepreneurs out there. And so I just want to commend you on that and applaud you and encourage you to keep going with that. Because this is part of your confidence living out loud. You are knowing that you're going to be supported, and maybe the support that you're getting today is something I said or something that Megan said, or one of the questions that was asked. So you might have had an issue that you would never have thought was an issue until you came here today. So that the universe or whatever you believe in has conspired to support you in this way today. So I love how that all works out. And if you start looking back at some of the connections that you've made and the way they've happened, you'll see and you'll truly believe the evidence that says you are supported in every moment. So
thank you so much, Sheila, for taking the time out of your evening. We so appreciate it.
Thanks for asking me. I hope you all have a great night. I expect to hear great things from all of you. Keep in touch with me, okay?
We certainly will. Thanks again, Sheila. Have a good night. Team, thanks so much for being here. And I'll be sharing you more information to contact Sheila or to purchase her books or just, to be connected with her. So have a great night. Yeah.